For a long time, gaming has gotten a bad rap of being a mindless activity, a waste of time. You often hear the phrase, he just spends his time playing video games in his mom's basement. I'm here to make the argument that not only is playing games good, but I actually accredit a lot of my intelligence to games, and I'll tell you why. As I've said in previous other videos, my gaming career started off with the N64, specifically Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Now, I was playing this game before the internet and before I could even read. It took me a year's time as a kid in real life to pass the first dungeon. Playing video games often puts you in a different world with different circumstances, different problems, different lore. Playing video games puts you in a different world, a different universe. A universe where it has its own problems, ways to solve them, lore, baseline for how things work, etc. It helps us face and show problems that we normally would face in real life. This allows us to expand our problem solving. Games like this often have puzzles. They have hard decisions you have to make with real consequences. And after you play many games and you're introduced to many situations where you have to make decisions and critically think and rationally think and problem solve, etc., it becomes a very useful tool to develop the skills that you'll need to use in real life. Every day you make decisions, just like in games you make decisions. Hard and easy decisions. You have to critically think in real life. You have to use logic and deduction to keep moving forward. A prime example of this would be the first dungeon in Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. The part where I got stuck on was burning the spider webs. I just couldn't wrap my head around it until I figured out you could light one of the sticks on fire and use the stick to burn the spider webs. And it seems like common sense, and that's because it is. But it put me in a situation where as a little kid, I really had to think about it. Our ancestors taught via stories, and video games are interactive stories. And because of that interactivity, you remember things better. It's a better form of learning through stories. And as I alluded to earlier, you're in an environment where you can make mistakes, where the consequences of your actions aren't permanent. This facilitates a great learning environment. I don't think anybody's going to argue that finances aren't a huge part of life, and that's exactly why we're getting into old school RuneScape. Now, I believe that playing RuneScape for maybe a year is equivalent to going through an economics class, a stock class, a business class, marketing class, because this game encompasses it all. Money management to the max and learning how to deal with finances. Now, I played RuneScape before the Grand Exchange and before there was any restrictions to trade. And if you guys remember, back in the day, it was the fucking Wild West. This is back in the day where if you wanted anything, you'd have to sit in the bank spamming, does anybody have this? And then you would have to negotiate with players, and your little 10-year-old brain would have to know the price of every single item in the game to know if you were getting scammed or not. Speaking of scams, this was probably the first time I encountered some serious nefarious activities where these elaborate scams were devised to steal your armor, your money, your hard work, and the first time falling for it, you never forget because it just burns your ass so bad. But it teaches you a valuable lesson that people out there will try to scam you and take advantage of you. And don't get me wrong, I scammed a few people, okay? I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I didn't, but don't sit here and pretend like you didn't either. I've played a lot of online games, and RuneScape bar none is the best. And it's one of the longest standing online games that there is. RuneScape and its community, while unintentional or intentional, taught me a lot of valuable life lessons. This next story might be a little cheesy, but it's actually one of the most profound moments in my life. And it's almost silly to say because, you know, it's a video game, but it is what it is. When I first early on started this game, I remember seeing like a level 13 or a level 30 wearing black trimmed armor. And for no reason at all, I just started talking shit to him, making fun of him. And he said, man, this isn't even my main account, like, whatever. He's like, meet me in Varrock Square in a little bit. And he's like, I'll show you my real account. So this guy comes, main account, walks up to me, trades me, hits me with 50K. And at the time, the most I could probably save up was 1,800. And I was just mind blown. And the guy just walked away. And it might have been this little act, but just a selfless act of me talking shit to this guy, and then this guy giving me money and walking away. What a G. And it made me think, you know, a lot of people do some selfless and profound things in games because, you know, that's not real money, etc., etc. But it showed me that, you know, in real life, you can do that stuff. And it's pushed me towards being a more selfless and generous individual. Because at the end of the day, isn't life just a game? Reiterate for those of you who think I'm talking shit, because there is clinical research that backs up my claims as well. And I'm sure most of you guys already knew that. But just to summarize again, video games increase your attention span, improve decision making and problem solving capabilities, in competitive, like I said, competitive safe environments, and improve memory learning. Video games improve all the cognitive abilities that society values. So, guys, what I'm trying to say here is show this to your parents, show this to your girlfriend who's upset you're still in your mom's basement because the housing prices are insane and she doesn't understand that, and she still thinks I'm a bum. But yeah, video games make you smarter. So play away and increase that IQ, boys.